Monday, 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 weather for Weather Geeks time. Here's the other Weather Geek in the house, Mike Joyce, our weekend warrior. And Mike, we had a pretty quiet weekend
Oh, I know.
weather-wise.
Saturday was awesome.
Oh, it was great. We got the dog out even though it was muddy.
Yeah.
We got the dog some fresh air on Saturday. We're in the middle of a pretty quiet weather pattern. There's just not a lot going on. No big ticket items. It's not real cold. We're going to get nickel and dimed, it looks like, a little bit with some flurries and whatnot this week,
Right.
maybe even some small accumulations of snow. But there's no big ticket items this week. And considering it's kind of the dead of winter, we're getting off pretty easily.
Mhm.
So our snow totals for the season are now running a little bit behind. We're up at around, I think, 27 inches or so, and we're a couple of inches below average now. And we're about halfway through meteorological winter. And we're almost at average temperature-wise, balanced out by a warm December and what's been so far pretty cold January. So we're kind of at halftime of winter, if you will, if you consider meteorological winter to be December, January, February. We're about halfway through. What does the rest of the winter have in store? That is the million-dollar question. We'll talk about the long range in just a second. In the meantime, today is just kind of a gloomy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I did not have my sunglasses on the way in.
Not necessary.
Yeah, low overcast out there today. Temperatures aren't bad. It's actually a little above average. 34 here at 2 o'clock in Youngstown, 34 Newcastle, actually over Akron, Canton, 36, 37 degrees. And this is despite, pretty low overcast. So we're not doing bad considering it's so cloudy. You actually run into some sunshine once you're southwest of New Philly and Canton, Coshocton, heading over towards Columbus. It's a pretty nice January day in Columbus. It's 42 degrees and some sunshine. So not a bad day for students who have the day off down at Ohio State today. Local students, of course, are off here in Youngstown today, and unfortunately, we're not going to see the sun for the rest of the day today. What's going on nationwide? Let me take off the satellite, bring up temperature contours here, and look at all the mild air down in the south. This is kind of a March-like map.
Right.
Pushing 70 down in parts of Georgia.
Very
Carolinas.
dry air, though.
Yeah, you bring up the dew points, and yeah, dew points are down in the 20s and 30s. So there's been some wildfire issues. Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah.
So that's not a good thing. But the temperatures are a good thing, and all of this mild air is going to stay essentially bottled up down here. It's not going to make a whole lot of eastward progress. Our temperatures will not be that cold this week, but unfortunately, we're not going to share in the 50s and 60s. If only wishing made it so. As far as storminess across the country today, there's not a lot of that either. There's some flurries and snow showers downwind of the eastern Great Lakes. There's a little clipper out here across the Midwest. This is what's going to track our way tomorrow, but it's going to fizzle out some as it does so. So we were talking a little bit earlier. We're not real concerned about tomorrow's clipper being much of an issue at all. Maybe some flurries with it. That should about do it. Wednesday might be a little bit of a different deal, and we'll talk about that. The West Coast is doing all right. Of course, they had did you see some of the weather in Seattle before the start of the NFC Championship yesterday? They had just torrential rain and even some hail before the game. And then during the game, it rained, but it wasn't nearly as heavy as it was before the game.
But by the end of the game, it looked okay.
Yeah, they actually had some sunshine at times during the game. And, of course, they had a monsoon up in Boston or in Foxborough for the AFC Championship game last night. But nationwide, again, things have quieted down. Let's take a look at the rest of the week. Here's tomorrow's clipper. I'll start with tomorrow morning. This little system approaching from the north and west with some light snows trying to push in the morning. But a lot of this is going to try to fizzle, I think, with the dry air around. Even if it snows lightly midday, afternoon. Temperatures tomorrow, what do we have for a high? 32, 34?
30, yeah, low mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah, so, with stuff falling during the day, even though it's the dead of winter and the sun angle's still really low, if it's 33, 34 degrees, it's just going to have a hard time sticking, especially on paved surfaces. So not real concerned at all about tomorrow's clipper. Wednesday's clipper looks a little bit stronger. And with the timing of this could make for a little bit of tricky travel. Maybe not first thing in the morning, like before sunrise, but maybe around sunrise or shortly thereafter. This is 7 a.m. A little bit of snow trying to push in here, and maybe a little hard to see. But here's the 32-degree line on the GFS model. It's this red line right here. It's actually a little south of Youngstown. So if we get some light snow pushing in at 7:30 or 8 in the morning, and it's 30-ish, that could make for a little bit of slick travel on Wednesday morning. By midday, even though it may be snowing a little harder by lunchtime or a little before lunchtime, notice the 32-degree line has crept north. So bottom line for you here on Wednesday, kind of a nuisance system. Here's the Canadian model total snow through Thursday morning. Once you get into the light blue, you're above 2 inches. I suspect this is overdone down in here. But again, between the two clippers, the Canadian model would suggest that someone gets an inch or two total. Same idea with the European model. Inch, maybe two, but yeah, probably closer to an inch. And so, Wednesday might bring an inch of snow, especially on non-paved surfaces. Here's the NOAA odds of more than an inch worth of snow. With clipper number 1, notice the highest odds are over Lake Erie, and then heading up into Canada. Once we're down in here into Youngstown, we're between 1 and 5%. So it looks like Tuesday's system, not a big deal at all. Wednesday, the odds are certainly higher here in Youngstown. Oops. Scroll down here. This shade of blue that's up around 60 to 70% of 1 inch or more. So Wednesday's system could be a little bit of a nuisance, especially first thing in the morning or right after sunrise. By midday, even though it may be snowing, temperatures are probably back up around or above freezing. Rest of the week, quiet. Thursday, eventually, there we go. Thursday, maybe some flurries around. Don't think that's a big deal. Friday, again, maybe a flurry around. You get the idea here. Just not a whole lot of stuff to hang our hat on as far as decent-sized systems this week. Here's the 16-day temperature trend on the GFS, and Mike, looks like it's going to turn cold next week.
Yeah, another bitter cold Arctic outbreak.
Yeah, it's been a little while now since we've had a relative break now for a little while, but it's late January. We're bound to have this sooner or later. And so next week, which is what I'm circling here, there's probably going to be a few days sometime next week and into the following weekend, into Super Bowl weekend, that we may struggle to get above 20 by day, single digits, perhaps below 0 at night. Every time we talk about cold in the longer range, someone wants to know, hey, is it going to snow too? It's too early to say. The details of that we can't really speculate on 10 days in advance. But at some time next week, we're going to be dealing with harsh cold. Perhaps if everything works out right, we'll get some accumulating snow. But I'll tell you, compared to last winter, I looked at the numbers last week. We're about, for meteorological winter anyway, we're about half the total we had last season. So we're way behind last season's snow totals for meteorological winter. Of course, this year we had some November snow.
Right, and then, of course, December this year was just a total bust with snow at all.
Less than an inch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got a long way to go to get back up to kind of the levels we had last year, but that's never been our forecast. Our forecast all along has been for less snow this year than last year. Everybody's happy about that except people who remove snow as part of their income in the winter, plow operators, that sort of thing. They're not happy. The rest of us, I don't think we mind too much. All right, that is Monday's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 6 and 11. Check out Mike's forecast this weekend on WFMJ's 6 and 11 shows on Saturday and Sunday. No sports this weekend, so I think you've got all your shows.
Yeah, it'll work out.
Exactly. All right, have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow.